Hey, this is the Bunmom Life with me, Jessie, and my 4 bunnies, Rue, Linus, Timo, and Kumo. Come and join us for stories about our journey as a bunny family. Let's hop to it. Hello, Fluffle fam. Thank you so much for being here again. I actually had another topic prepared for this week's podcast, but this past week's events led me to push that episode to next time and speak about something else instead. Today's episode is a little different from the others. Today is more of a peek into the thoughts in my mind and the feelings in my heart. Some of you may find this really relatable as a bun parent or a parent of any fur baby. And for some, this may be a world you've never experienced before. Either way, I wanted to take you on this emotional journey and roller coaster of feelings that I experience as a bun mom, particularly in this current scenario where we're taking care of our Rue while she has corneal ulcers. Compared to other health issues, ulcers are relatively minor. Going through Linus's last weeks when his brain tumor mercilessly ravaged his little body and mind, and then going through Timo's bi-monthly emergency hospitalizations were far more intense and stressful. But I'm not sharing about those moments today. Today, I'm focusing on ulcers, corneal ulcers, and what it has been like for me as a bun parent. I hope you find today's episode meaningful, perhaps even comforting if you're going through something similar, knowing that you are not alone in the loneliness and frustrations and the heartache. It doesn't matter how seemingly small or minor an incident or situation is, these feelings are real, and they can be kind of overwhelming. So let's dig right in. If you've been following along on our Little Loppy Rue Instagram, you know that Rue just had her routine dental procedure this past week. If you're new here and you're curious as to why Rue needs regular work on her teeth, you can check out episode 26 where we shared in detail about it. Rue is very prone to developing corneal ulcers when she's under anesthesia. Her eyes just dry out really easily, and even with extra hydration administered throughout the procedure by the vet and vet techs, unfortunately the ulcers still formed this time around. We got a call from one of the vet techs shortly after noon that day, letting us know the dental procedure itself went very well, but after a fluorescent dye check, they learned that Rue did indeed have ulcers form in both of her eyes. My heart sunk. Oh no, I thought. Here we go again. It's not easy seeing our fur babies in pain and discomfort. There are so many feelings that crowd up within me. Worry and fear that things are not getting better, the desperate need to take away their pain, the wish that they could understand what's going on, the guilt and the exhaustion. It's a lot, even when the issue is relatively quote-unquote minor, like corneal ulcers. This is the 4th dental procedure that Rue has had, so experience does help in some ways. I'm less fretful and stressed than before. I'm fully aware that these ulcers can take weeks to heal, so I'm less afraid when, after days and even a couple of weeks, things still don't seem to be improving much. I'm more focused in the present than before, focused on what is the next thing we need to do right now for Rue, rather than dwelling too much on the what-ifs. In some ways, things are slightly easier. But in other ways, it's not. The frustration and heartbreak of this happening to Rue again. The stress it's causing her every single time we need to pick her up. Seeing her eyes red and inflamed and her barely able to open them, seeing her go through this all again is a huge weight on my heart and shoulders. And to be honest, it does lead me to think so many thoughts about our vet, who is absolutely amazing, always has been, and we have never doubted his genuine affection and care for our bunnies. But still, in situations like these, thoughts will float into my head, like, did they do enough? Did they really hydrate enough throughout and after? Did the new vet techs who were there know what they were doing? Have they been looking into solutions or other ways this can be prevented? All these thoughts cross my mind. But ultimately, despite all these thoughts, I do really trust our vets. And it's only a matter of maybe they don't know yet or haven't discovered yet a way to prevent these ulcers. And so, even with the full trust I have in them, it doesn't stop me from sending a quick little email to the exotics team to ask, oh, hey, I heard about this solution that this vet is doing over in the UK for their bunnies who are really prone to ulcers. Is this something we can look into? I have sent that email. I have not yet received a response, but we'll see. I'm sure they're looking into it because he is a very dedicated vet. Anyways, I just despise the thought of Rue having to endure these ulcers after every single procedure for the rest of her life. So I am going to keep researching and keep asking others about their experience and what worked for them because I'm going to keep advocating for our little Rue for as long as possible so that this doesn't have to keep happening. That's the hope. When issues arise and cause our bunnies physical pain or discomfort, I realize more and more how precious the little things are. Things like being able to see Rue's big, beautiful eyes open wide. I miss that every time this happens. Things like seeing her fully relaxed and not worried about having to be carried or picked up for her eye meds. Things like seeing her curious and hopping around the house constantly. When she has ulcers, she still hops around, especially when there are nom-noms, but she's not in the mood as much for being overly curious and adventurous. So, in some odd way, I do feel grateful that these experiences have taught me to cherish these seemingly small moments when she is ulcer-free, moments that are actually the most important, the most precious, the most beautiful. Having gone through this several times, it makes the ordinary days so much more special and extraordinary. And despite my warring, painful thoughts, I also feel that thread of immense gratitude that she's here. She's alive. She's in discomfort, but she's still Rue. She's able to move around and eat and enjoy pets and head rubs. She's here. She has some soreness, but it's not painful enough to prevent her from enjoying her life overall. She's here. And that in itself is priceless treasure. Even so, I can't help but have the urgent, desperate desire for her eyes to heal ASAP and for her to feel completely herself again. I want to rush it all. I just want it all to go away. But that's not how life works. And this has been a big lesson in surrendering to the now. And when there are moments that really challenge me internally, I remind myself of something that Eckhart Tolle, a spiritual teacher, has said. Accept it as though you have chosen it. This doesn't mean doing nothing about it, but it means knowing that you can only control so much in any given situation and to focus on what you can control and accept what you can't. Some moments, though, really are very hard. For example, picking up Rue for her eye drops. By the 4th or 5th day, she's had enough. She's extremely irritated and unhappy, reasonably so. And this is when I wish she could understand that it's good for her. Technically, I can administer her eye drops while she's laying on the floor, but since the eye drops are 2 parts, the antibiotic first, followed by the gel lubricant about 10 to 15 minutes later, sometimes she ends up getting up to go do something, or she just doesn't want pets anymore, and it results in us having to pick her up anyway. And then there's also the risk that she runs away while I'm administering and accidentally gets poked in the eye by the tube. This hasn't happened yet, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. The first day, I could do it while she was on the floor since she was extremely exhausted, and I knew she'd be sleeping throughout. But with more energy, she may not always want to stay still for 15 minutes. And so picking her up 4 times a day for her eye drops, not fun. Eventually, she's so fed up, she now just runs away every single time. And sometimes she is really relaxed on the table while I give her pets throughout the eye drops, and it's quick and easy. 15 minutes and she's back on the floor with a treat. But other times, she's so tired of it that she's restless on the table. She's digging, she's nudging my hand away. And this girl is strong. She's jerking away as soon as I'm about to put the drops in. The medicine then gets on the table or on her fur instead, and I have to pet her to calm her down and try again. But when she's refusing to relax and be calm, it becomes a very rough session. That was the case today during her second round of meds for the day. What usually takes 15 minutes took double the time because she just wasn't having it. And that's rough. Still 2 more to go today, and who knows how many more days or weeks of this. But there are also the light and bright moments, when it feels like a sliver of sunshine has broken through the dark clouds, when her eyes open a little more, when she's a little more active than the day before, when she's herself enough to groom Kumo, when she tips over the extra hay box we give her to encourage more consumption during her healing with fervor and determination, when she hops up onto the dining bench requesting pets while I'm sitting there. Again, the usual ordinary things and moments become rays of warm, bright sun filtering through the curtains of worry and frustration, and genuinely brings us so much joy. Because these are the moments that show us she's feeling better and more herself. There is the missing her energy, her attitude, her hoppiness, her adventurousness, her usual self. So even though she's getting upset and sassy on the table about having to do eye drops yet again, there's still gratitude because it means she's well enough to be sassy and difficult. All these feelings and thoughts because of little old stubborn, annoying corneal ulcers. It's so much more complex and difficult for any bun parent out there who is lovingly caring for bunnies who have chronic health issues, who are dealing with long-term situations where you don't know if your bunny will ever get better, who have to do things like this every single day for weeks, months, years on end, or do things that are even more difficult to do. We've been through that too. We know a little bit of what an emotional, mental, and physical toll it all can take, and even how lonely that journey can be. If you're in a situation like this right now, my heart goes out to you. Know that you are not alone in the roller coaster of emotions that you're going through. Know that your bunny is so incredibly lucky and blessed to be loved and cared for by you. And trust that they do, at some level, understand what you're doing for them. I know Rue does understand in some way because she still comes to me for pets and head rubs. She still shows her love in her own ways. She just hates the situation she's in, which is totally fair. She's allowed to rant and rage in her little bunny way at the unfairness of her predicament. I recently listened to an interview about someone who unexpectedly, with little preparation, that's often how life works, became a full-time caregiver to her husband who has dementia. She spoke about how caring for someone at that level will wear a person down if they don't seek help early. And although my situation is totally different from hers and much less intense in every single way, I found her experience so relatable and comforting, and I resonated with a lot of what she shared. What has helped a lot with caring for Rue is definitely having another set of hands to help. It makes a world of difference having Bun Dad able to hold her and soothe her on the table while I syringe fed her critical care the first couple of days when she felt unwell and wasn't eating enough hay. I could syringe feed her on my own, but having someone else felt so much easier and lighter. It's true that having a companion to carry a burden lightens the load that we each carry. And even with eye ulcers, it's incredible how much mental space and time it takes out in my mind and in my day to tend to Rue, which means other aspects of my life slow down or need to be put on hold for the time being. There's just less of a mood and less energy to do other simple things, like chores around the house or cooking meals. So it definitely helps having someone else able to take on more of the weight of those tasks temporarily until things are back to normal and the tasks can be divided up again. As caregivers at any level, it's important to ask for help, whether that's from a partner or a family member or friends or a community of people who understand and can step in. I'm sharing this only because we're dealing with ulcers here, corneal ulcers, which again is super minor compared to many other problems, and yet still I have felt the immense benefits of having help. So for anything more heavy that any of you need to carry, how much more important it is to be able to have assistance. Anyways, these are my thoughts induced by Rue's corneal ulcers. I just thought I'd share for anyone who this might help. And for any of you who may be curious, this is the life of a bun mom. Being a bun parent is not always easy, but what a beautiful life and journey they give us. Not in spite of the difficulties, but because of them. Thank you so much for listening. If you've hung out with me all the way to this point, to the very end, know that I am so incredibly grateful. Your presence, your support mean more than you'll ever know. I will always carry that in my heart. So thank you. Have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. Remember you are loved and cherished always. Our Bun Buns send you lots of boobs. Bye!